Got it. Okay, good. Right, here we go. As we start the new Mishnah. Start with a bracha, actually.
Amen.
Not a whiskey in that. Yeah. Okay. On we go. New Mishnah, new Perek. Last Perek of the Masechta. Some of this we might have touched on previous occasions, but it really does get to having been through so many different things in Rosh Hashanah. Now very much focusing on the Rosh Hashanah day, the blowing of the shofar, not Kiddush Levana or any of those things, or Kiddush HaChodesh, but as we'll see, it's the development of the davening of Rosh Hashanah, the blowing of the Rosh Hashanah, the notes of the Rosh Hashanah, technicalities of that much later on, as we move right to the Lamed Gimel. A relatively, not a very long perek, but a very, as I say, very practical. Before we get there, we've got the first Mishnah. And let's have a look at the first Mishnah. Daf Chof Tes Amud Beis. Excellent. And so here we are. Yom Tov Shel Rosh Hashanah. The Yom Tov for Rosh Hashanah, Shechal Liyos b'Shabbos. It falls on Shabbos, which can happen. B'mikdosh hoyotokin avelo b'mdina. In the Beis HaMikdash, they blew the shofar on Shabbos, but not b'mdina. What is b'mdina? Not b'mdina sounds like in the outside. I know we talk about Medina being like a country, Medinat Israel, but it seems to be comparing to the Beis HaMikdash area and lo b'mdina. Have a look, please, at Rashi, a famous machlokus between Rashi and the Rambam. We'll call on your service in a minute, Peter. So say, finger on the button. Have a look at Rashi. Yom Tov Shel Rosh Hashanah Shechal Liyos b'Shabbos B'Mikdash Hoyotokin B'Gemara Mafarish La. The Gemara will explain exactly how this worked, etc. But the crucial bit for us is Avalo B'Mdina. Now, what is the definition of b'mdina? Have a look at Rashi, please. Lo b'Yerushalayim v'lo b'Gvulin. So Rashi seems to be taking, when it says here b'mikdosh, very strictly, b'mikdosh means the Beis HaMikdash area. That's where they blew on Shabbos, when there was a Beis HaMikdash. But he is translating the word b'mdina means anywhere else, even in Yerushalayim. V'lo b'Gvulin, not outside. The Gvul means the borders, which here it means beyond Yerushalayim. So it's very clear, according to Rashi, that the only place they blew when Rosh Hashanah fell on a Shabbos, and this was the time of the Beis HaMikdash, they only blew in the Beis HaMikdash area, but not outside that area. Sam, good to see you. If I can trouble you, Peter, let's go to Safaria, and let's go to Mishnah. Now just scroll down and let's go to, so I think at the end he's got Pirushim. Here we are. Slowly, Rambam. That's what I want. Actually, just go back again so we can see that. Let's just see what he's Rambam. First public writing 1160 at the age of 21. There you go. Include discussion.
23.
Sorry, 23. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's coming up a bit smaller. Yeah, 23. Thank you. So at 23, he's writing this Pirush on the Rambam. Now, if you press it, and let's go to Rosh Hashanah. There you go. Gone too far. Gone too far. Up, up, up. Further, further. There we are. Rosh Hashanah. It's part of Moed. And let's go to chapter 4, Mishnah 1. Right, we've got it here. We'll have a look at let's press a bit larger. Yeah, very good indeed. That's good. That's very good. If you press A Aleph, I don't know if you'll have it in English as well. Let's have the A Aleph. No, not been translated. Fine. No, he hasn't got it in both. A Aleph hasn't. He just got it in Hebrew. Okay, fair enough. Yom Tov Shel Rosh Hashanah is b'Shabbos. Kvar bi'anu pa'omim. And don't forget, this is really translated from the Arabic into Hebrew. I've already explained pa'omim, which means several times, and we've got a few sources there. Masa Sheni, Shkolim. That's two other places. Ki Mikdosh, when we have the word Mikdosh mentioned in Mishnayos, Tikra will be called Yerushalayim Kula. Different to Rashi. Rashi says when it says Mikdosh, it meant the Beis HaMikdosh precinct. He's taking no. When it says the Beis HaMikdosh in Mishnayos, it means the whole of Yerushalayim is considered the Mikdosh. Kula. Umedina is Sha'ar Ho'aroyo Shebachol Eretz Yisrael. And when it says the word Medina, this is what we've got here, it means anything outside Yerushalayim and the other cities. Okay? That's crucial. Compared to Rashi, who says, no, Medina means Yerushalayim itself. Okay. Now, if you don't mind, go back to texts, please, Peter. Oh, there, on the top left. Let's have a look at Mishnah. And let's have a look at Rosh Hashanah. And I want to go to the very next Mishnah, actually. So there we are, Rosh Hashanah. We want Perek 4. We want Mishnah 2. So scroll down. Keep a bit more. Right. Borish, next one, about the Lulav. This is very interesting because look there, Borishona originally, the Lulav was Nital, was taken. Bamikdash Shiva, 7 days. Ubamdina Yom Echad. But again, you got this word Bamdina Yom Echad. Okay. If I can ask you now, sorry, go back to texts. This time let's go to Gemara. So it's Talmud, Rosh Hashanah. This time we want 30A. There you go. Now scroll down to that Mishnah and you see what Rashi says. Keep going, not up to the Mishnah yet. Bit more. Long way to go. Long scrolling. I just want to get to this Rashi. Oh, wow. Yeah, there we are. Now, stop, press. On Borishona, you live Nitzel Bamidajim Yom Echad. Press, please. Let's go to Meforshim. Just give it a press. Or, yeah, go to commentary. Go to Rashi. Right. Borishona hayu lulav nitl bamikdash shiva. 7 days. Tichsiv usmachtem lifnei Hashem Elokeichem shivas yomim. Ubimdina yom echad. outside. Now, we've got the word Medina here. So Rashi is telling us something very important. When it comes to shaking the lulav, the Pasuk says, Usmachtem, and you should enjoy and rejoice together with the Arba Minim. Lifnei Hashem Elokeichem Shivas Yomim. And Rashi is saying that's what the Mishnah means when it says Bar Mikdosh Shiva. There was a base in the Beis Hamikdosh area itself. The mitzvah of lulav is on all 7 days. Continue that, Rashi. Ubamdino yom echad dichsiv ulekachtem lochem b'yom harishon. So interesting. We have a contradiction of 2 psukim. One pasuk when it talks about the lulav says take the lulav the first day, and then there's another pasuk which says take the lulav and rejoice with it for 7 days. So the Gemara explains that there's a difference between Bar Mikdosh and Bamdina. As far as the Torah is concerned, there is a mitzvah for 7 days at Bar Mikdosh, and there's a mitzvah of just the first day, Bamdina. Now, according to Rashi, that means if you're in the Beis Hamikdosh area itself, it applies to 7 days. And if you're outside the Beis Hamikdosh area, there's a mitzvah of shaking lulav 1 day. According to the Rambam, it doesn't mean just the Beis. What did we see? We saw the Rambam defines the word Bar Mikdosh to be Yerushalayim, or certainly the old city of Yerushalayim. That's this word, Mikdosh. You with me? Which means there's a mitzvah to shake the lulav, or the Arba Minim, for 7 days if you're in the old city, according to the Rambam. Where according to Rashi, there is a mitzvah min ha-Torah of shaking lulav only in the Beis Hamikdosh area. Everywhere else, just 1 day. This has got ramifications today because we can go back to faces now. Thank you, Peter. Let's go to lulav. It turns out that this pasuk usmachtem lifnei Hashem Elokeichem shivas yomim is only in the mikdosh. But how do you define the mikdosh? According to Rashi, it means the Beis Hamikdosh itself. Well, sadly, we can't go to the Beis Hamikdosh area nowadays. Let's not get political about this. Because a lot of people are very unhappy about actually walking in the Beis Hamikdash area today. It's in, let's not go down there, as I say, politically, but all I can say is there's both sides, the Sfardim and the Ashkenazi chief rabbi, both of them have said it's absolutely forbidden today because we don't know exactly which is the area of the Beis Hamikdash, so don't go there. But all I'm saying is this. There is a mitzvah in the Beis Hamikdash area for 7 days. Well, we can't go there. According to the Rambam, it's not just the Beis Hamikdash area, it's the old city. Has this rule, as the Rambam has defined Mikdosh being the whole old city area. You with me? So it turns out even today, there could be a difference. According to the Rambam, you're fulfilling the mitzvah min ha-Torah of shaking a lulav if you're in the old area. Okay, that itself does need a little bit of explanation and definition, but not just the Beis Hamikdash. Whereas according to Rashi and others, that only means the Beis Hamikdash area. Everywhere else, there is only a mitzvah on the first day, but after that, it is a mitzvah midrabanon. Yeah, you with me? So that, as I say, it's got major differences here. So therefore, one's at the old city, let's say at the Kosel, at the Kotel, for the rest of the days of Sukkot, according to the Rambam, when you shake a lulav, you are being makayim a mitzvah min ha-Torah. According to Rashi, or not. because the mitzvah is only midrabanan outside the actual area of the Beis Hamikdash. So I say that Machlokes Rambam and Rashi has major implications even today. But let's go back to Rosh Hashanah. That's what we are.
Sorry, so Kal V'chomer if you're abroad. If you're outside the land of Israel, it's only the Rabbanan.
Absolutely, except for the first day. The first day is universal because it says L'kachtem lochem b'yom harishon. There is no qualification there of just in the mikdash, however you define mikdash. And then you've got this other pasuk. Simon,
and if the first day is a Shabbos, you don't do it.
Okay,
you don't do it at all.
Yeah, you're quite right. That goes back to that Mishnah. Absolutely. Then there wouldn't be a mitzvah at all. Whereas, that's a very good point. Nowadays, that we're not shaking the lulav on Shabbos. If you're going during Chol HaMoed, let's say, with your lulav and esrog to Damna the Kosel or around that area, then as according to the Rambam, you're mekayim a mitzvah min HaTorah. Whereas according to Rashi and the others, it's a mitzvah midrabanan. Yeah, you're quite right. And as you say, certainly as you go further afield, outside of Eretz Yisrael, into Chutz La'aretz, then clearly it's only midrabanan besides the first day. And that's why the first day, there are extra points that need to be looked at because it's a mitzvah min HaTorah. So
there's no difference between outside Yerushalayim and Chutz La'aretz then?
No, absolutely. Tel Aviv or Rosh Pinah is going to be the same as London and America.
Except there's more people probably...
However, maybe slight differences in other ways, but not as far as that mitzvah of Lulav. Whereas, if you're standing at the kotel, you're davening at the kosel during Chol HaMoed, according to Rambam, it's a mitzvah min HaTorah. Sorry, I can't hear you, David. You're on mute.
Did we previously discuss? Oh, I'm still on mute.
No, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Did we previously discuss the question of whether the Rambam would actually have been aware of Rashi? Because I know he lived after Rashi, but...
He lived after Rashi.
I think there was some suggestion that he may not have actually been aware. Because when you say Machlokes, it may be that they were expressing different views, but the Rambam wasn't aware of the fact that Rashi had a different view.
Not clear, but certainly in the Mishnayos you don't see mentions of the view of Rashi. Even if he did know of the view of Rashi, as we say, he had the plexus in Yiddish. In other words, he had the shoulders. These were, Rabbonim who could disagree with respect. So that wouldn't be a problem. He wasn't his teacher. He was coming from a different school, different area. And no doubt the Rambam had, as I say, his previous teachers too, and would have studied this himself. There wouldn't have been a problem. Now, it's true, had he known, you hear about someone today, for example, I have heard that said before, that had I known that so-and-so had paskened this way, I would never have allowed it. As you mentioned it, a famous case, and you can read into this how you like, someone I do know very well, actually. Amazing story. As you mentioned it, I will tell you this story. Someone I know lives in Harnof and davened in Reuben's Shul. People know Reuben's Shul in Harnof? That's the famous, sadly, where the terrorists came. He had asked Rabbi Azriel Auerbach, who's the son of Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, a few years ago, after the death of Rabbi Shlomo Zalman, he asked his son, Rabbi Azriel Auerbach, what's the rule? Good question for people. If you've got a balance between, you're coming late, can't imagine, but imagine on that one occasion somebody comes slightly late for shul, and what should they do? Is it better they skip part of Psukei de Zimra, Or should they go to another shul a bit later? And there they can say, look, because they're a bit late, go to another shul. Or is it more important they daven at their, what they call their mokum kavua? I've got a fixed place in the shul. That's always where I daven. Sadly, I'm a bit late today, whatever the reason. I will have to skip. There's certain rules about what you have to skip in Pesukah de Zimra, in the Pesukim. What's more important, mokum kavua or skipping? In other words, it's more important my mokum kavua I'm going to have to skip, or should I go somewhere else and not skip? That was his question. And of course, the ramifications that once you're a bit later, the whole day is all out of order. But okay, that was his question. Rob Azriel Auerbach said, "You've got it if you can. Obviously, this is assuming when you have those two options available to you. You've got to catch a plane or you've got to get to work. You may not have that option. But imagine on an occasion you could. Reb Azriel Auerbach said to him, it's more important that you do not skip Sukkah de Zimra, beats a Mokum Kavua. And it happened. On that fateful day, that person, know the man, he was late for shul. Not very late, but late. So he thought to himself, what am I meant to do? But he does remember the ruling from Azriel Auerbach. So instead of davening in Reuben's shul downstairs, he went upstairs to a later minyan. And that was the day the terrorists came in. And where he should have been davening, he wasn't there that day. He was upstairs. And sadly, we know what happened to 3 people. One of them, Englishman, people may remember, Avram Goldberg, Zichrono Livrocha. Sadly, they were killed. 3 people were killed there, 4 actually. But he wasn't there. He was upstairs. Now, what was going on? Sometime later, they were learning the halachas of Rabbi Shlomo Zalman. That's Rabbi Azriel Auerbach's father. And they came in London, they came across the piece that says that Rabbi Shlomo Zalman said, Mokum Kavua beats in Pesukah de Zimra, the whole of Pesukah de Zimra. More important, so somebody heard this and said, this can't be true, this ruling of Rabbi Shlomo Zalman, because I know what happened in Hanof, where this person got a psak from his son, and his son said, no, more important is Pesukah de Zimra. So there's something wrong with this sefer. It's misquoted Rabbi Shlomo Zalman. So they took that sefer. The only way we're going to find out, we're going to take the sefer to Rabbi Azriel Auerbach, his son, and ask him, it's wrong, this sefer's wrong. So they took the sefer to Rabbi Azriel Auerbach, and they showed him what his father, according to this sefer, said, not like the way he'd paskened. And his answer to that was, back to your point, David, had I known my father paskened, more important is to daven in the Mokum Kavua, I would not have paskened the way I did. I'm the son of Rabbi Shlomo Zalman, and I'm the teacher and mentor and everything else. I'm the great Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. I wouldn't have paskened that way. So he got this psak, and he's still alive today because he went to, that's what the ruling is, Asay L'chorav. That psak was just for him, even though it was wrong, but for him it was right. That's an amazing story, but I only mention that to say that, yes, people might say, if I would known that somebody paskened like this, I wouldn't have paskened the same way. But I'm not sure you'd say that with Rambam against Rashi. They're quite at liberty to be able to say, although 100 years later, nevertheless, the Rishonim can stand and deliver and pasken the way they like. But that's a most fascinating story. In other words, the principle of Asay L'chorav, and that's what you do. You follow the ruling of your Rav. In this case, his life was saved because he'd listened to him, albeit subsequently, Rav Shmuel said, I wouldn't have pasken like that. But as you say, min hashamayim, I did pasken that way for you, and your life was saved. So the principle is, and asay l'chora. But yeah, so back to our Gemara, an interesting story. Couldn't hold myself back on that one because that is a wonderful story. And back to our Mishnah.
Can I just say something, Norman? Just as a book
Yes.
I'm reading about Rambam, and he says the Rambam was completely unaware of the more analytical approach of the Tosafos and Rashi.
Sorry, who are you quoting?
Well, I'm quoting, this is a guy called Moshe Halbertal, who's a contemporary, who written about the Rambam. The conceptual breakthroughs in perspective for the study halls of the great 12th century Talmudist Maimonides himself was unaware of these developments in France and Germany, far from the Jewish world known to him.
Thank you.
And his works contain not one quotation from or reference to even so central work as Rashi's commentary on the Talmud, which is what you've just said. So Maimonides' relationship with the Jews living under Christian rule extended no further than Provence. Yeah,
well, very good.
So there was no connection.
No connection
really.
between the two. I mean, you don't find a quote of the Rambam who will be
At
quoting Rashi. I mean, as far as I know, just what
That's
I
what he
know.
says.
You're
There's
saying
no-
this is sounds like he's really been looking into that, and yeah. So thank you. Whether he would have pasken differently, we will never know. David, back to your point, whether he would have considered differently. But I mean, in the Rishonim and that medieval. They, as I say, they had the shoulders to be able to pasken as they felt was right. But yes, stronger. You know, had he known, would he have changed his mind and thought differently? We will never know. But yes, fascinating. So you know, yes, you have the again asay l'chorav, sometimes major differences in halacha, Hilchos Shabbos, and different things between the Rambam and the Rashi, but. That's the principle, asay l'chorav, and we say that principle even if they make a mistake. It doesn't matter. You follow how the rabbi paskens for you. Yes, David.
Yeah, the style of the Rambam. Not that I'm such an expert, but he gives me the impression of always being pretty confident in in the ground that he's standing in.
Yeah.
Not someone who seems to be ambivalent or plagued by self-doubt.
Oh no! I mean, yeah. Although there are occasions when he said there are occasions where we got that. Oh, if you look to the Rambam himself in the Yad Chazaka, where there are different views. But yeah, no, absolutely. As I say, they did the best they could, and that's how they paskened. Yeah, I mean, if it would have been challenged, no doubt he would have had an argument. But yeah. On occasions they have their own teachers too.
Who was it who said me Moshe Ein Kam Kamoshe?
Kamoshe, yeah. That's what they say, yeah. Up to Moshe Maimon, yeah.
So that was Rashi. I mean, from that point, that suggests that he was greater than Rashi.
Well, you can't say that. Depends how you do pasken. There are lots of things where it's Sfardim and Ashkenazim. Sometimes it swaps around. The Hanukkah, how we light the lights, and we're just had Hanukkah. But yeah, I mean that's it because of the huge amount that he did. If you think about actually writing that Rambam, this is what we were looked at today was a Pirush Mishnayos of the Rambam, which you. As you said, 23 to start that Pirush on that, and you're only writing a Pirush if you're familiar with everything. You can't write a Pirush, on a Mishnah unless you've seen everything. Otherwise, you're just going to be caught with not having seen the next page, almost. So yeah, you're going to have to be familiar. But that's a 23. But yeah, having all that, and then to be able to codify it in that way is just incredible. But yes. So there's Rishonim, but I say the principle there, you stick to the Rabban, the Sfardim stick to their rules, and Ashkenazim theirs, which is fine.
Actually, just reminds me, sorry to a bit frivolous, but when Michael, who's just joined us, joined the law firm that I was at, and there was a question they asked all the new people.
Sorry, Michael, who we got?
Michael Fluss.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see you there. Yes.
And the question was, yes. Who would you like to be stuck in the lift with? what person in history would you like to be second to live with? Michael, I think I'm right in saying that you said Maimonides.
I did. Yes, that's right.
Good. Did you
Yes.
get the job?
He did.
You did. Well, there you go. Sounds right. Okay. Good for you. Well done there. Very good indeed. Oh, well remembered. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Maimonides,
that's right.
Maimonides was Reis al Yahud. That's the phrase. He was the head of he has a very important authoritative position answering David's problem. He was not pussyfooted about, the letters he wrote and about these statements he gave. He discharged his duties as as a leading authority, both in terms of the inner community and also together with the in his relationships with the caliph, and the other.
But
although he was criticized in his day for calling his book on Halakha Mishneh Torah, the fact that he used the
word Mishneh Torah,
wording as though it's second to the Torah was considered
Mishneh Torah, Shnei Torah. But you're right. I mean, if you have to paskin, you paskin, and if you feel you've got the authority, no doubt, full of anivus too. That was a famous story. Remember Dinah Bromsky? Everybody knows that story, Dinah Bromsky.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, look, he can still, hopefully with anivus, realizing that maybe he could have done even more. But nevertheless, you've got to realize who you are, and I think that there are many people who've said, more important even, what you don't know. But if you do know something, then you have to come forward and utilize the skills you've got. And these people, and you'll find that that's general actually with many of the Rishonim. It's like that they feel even today. Actually, you do find that there's this. If they think that that's right and they've considered it, obviously. Then you do have to be very clear about a psak. No, we don't want any wavering. And I think, having just passed now the Shloshim of Dain Ehrentreu Zatzal, there was a personality who, the shoulders, and he paskin, I wouldn't say quickly, recklessly, but if you went to it for a shaila, he would paskin for you. And he had if that's the way he felt, that's the way he felt. Not going down all the rules now, but about the Erev, but he felt it was right, he felt it was kosher, he felt it was, and that's it. Nevertheless, still taking advice from the with Rabbi Yashiv and the great Gedolim, but that is the hallmark of the rabbi to make the pronouncements.
But generally speaking, though, they go for the chumrah. They wouldn't go lenient, because they're too scared or often to go too lenient, and they go for the chumrah. They do paskin, but they go.
No. I hear what you're saying.
And Troy, I think, but and the others probably too. On average, that's just my impression.
No, you're right. That is a hallmark. That's a hallmark of a great person, and the Gemara even talks about that. It's very easy to be machmir about anything. But the hallmark of a great person is that they know how to be makel, and that's what. Remember, we had that going back a couple of years, quite a few years. I think we were learning Bates at the time, where we come across the Gemara. That a kula is worth hearing more than the chumrah, because it shows that the person really feels that's absolutely right.
I agree, but you don't often hear those, though.
Yeah, no, I agree with you too. I agree with you, but that's really what they're trying to build. Rabbonim are people of stature who will be able to fearlessly say what they feel is right. But anyway, that's
to be fair to the Rambam. In a few instances in his Mishneh Torah, he says, "I'm paskening the way my rabbis taught me."
Yeah,
he says it again and again, and beginning on the stars and everything. When he starts his Mishneh Torah, he says, "I've learned everything from my
absolutely. Yeah, no. Oh no, they're certainly not saying things. They're coming up with some novel ideas. It would have been based on their own teaching. Yeah, they could still be machadesh, but it would be based on very much the foundations of the previous rabbis and their teachers too. Yeah.
Yes, probably. To me, the fundamental issue is if you come up with a kula, then you might get shot down by the others, and then you lose your standing. And I think that's what people fear of.
I agree
amongst the Haredim.
Yeah, I agree, except for where you get these people who really do stand out, and that Dayan Ehrentraub was one where he's fearless.
But Ehrentraub was fearless for chumras, but not for kulas.
No.
There was no kula from Ehrentraub.
The Eruv.
The Eruv is a typical example. He was being, and then we'll wash out here because it's all being. He was fearless. Where on the other side there was a lot of anti-Eruv people around. Yeah, and there are plenty of examples where he was makel rather than machmir, not because just wanted to be makel, where he felt he was right. But I agree with you, Simon. That is the hallmark, and maybe it's easy to be machmir. But anyway, on we go. Interesting discussion. Yom Tov Shvel Rosh Hashanah Shechal Yos B'Shabbos. So what do we say? B'Mikdash HaYotokin. They blew on Rosh Hashanah in the Beis Hamikdash, however you define it, Rashi, Rambam. Avelo B'Mdina, right? But when the Mishechor of Beis Hamikdash, when the Beis Hamikdash is destroyed, Hiskin Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, Sheyutokim B'chol Mokom Sheyesh Bo Bezdin. They extended that. Have a look, please. No, there's not much Rashi. In fact, there's no Rashi on this. So it was extended. Now the Beis Hamikdash area, very much out of bounds. Even according to the Rambam, it's limited. So Sheitokim B'chol Mokom Sheyesh Bo Bezdin. Okay, we'll have to understand exactly what this means. Omar Rab Elazar. Rab Elazar disagrees. Lo hiskin Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai ela beyavne bilvad. Blowing the shofar on Shabbos was only allowed in Yavne. When they moved, in fact, this perek will deal with those movements as they're going, sadly, in exile from Yerushalayim, from their, not quite pillar to post, but they're going from place to place. The Gemara later on deals with that. When they went to Yavne, it's only in Yavne you could blow the shofar on Shabbos, nowhere else. Have a look at Rashi, please. Elo b'Yavne. Shehoyso shom Sanhedri gedola b'Yomov. In his time, the time of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, the time after the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, in his time, the Sanhedrin Hagodol, back to 70 now, 71, 70, they moved from the Beis Hamikdash to Yavne. V'chein b'chol mokum shegolso Sanhedrin, wherever the 71, where you've got the full Bezdin Hagodol, avalo bebezdin shel esrim shloisha. So you can see the argument there in the Mishnah. The Mishnah started off saying, but at the time of the Beis Hamikdash, Hiskim Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai tokim b'chol mokum sheyesh bo bezdin, and bezdin sounds like a 23 numbered bezdin, which actually encompass capital offences. Rabbi Elazar says no, the only place you can blow the shofar is if you have the full complement, the full Sanhedrin Hagodol. That is the view of Rabbi Elazar. Omrulo, they say back to him, Echad Yavne, v'echad kol mokum sheyesh bo bezdin. No. Now, this is very funny because, or strange, you have an argument, you don't normally have the first side coming back just to say what they've already said at the beginning. So there must be something more here. You with me? We started off saying that at the time of the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, the Tanakama says, wherever there's a Bezdin, which sounds like a 23 numbered Bezdin, you can blow on Shabbos. whichever town that happens. Says Rabbi Loza, no, only if there's 71. So they come back. It sounds like a bit, oh no, you can't. Oh yes, I can. It's a bit like that. Omrulo, no. It's Yavne or any place where there's a Bezdin, which sounds just like the Tanakama. What is that adding those words? Obviously, there's a Tanakama and a Rabbi Loza. You don't need the Tanakama coming back saying, no, I disagree with you. And just to repeat what they've said at the beginning. That is not the way of the Mishnah. So the Gemara will have to explain that too. But now there's a full stop and there's a second part. In fact, in some Mishnayos, this will be
presumably the difference is because in Yavne they had the Sanhedrin Gedolo, so they had the 71. So the Tanakh is coming to say any city, even there's only 23 or whatever,
Yeah, but what is the difference between the Tanakhama and Omrulo? That's the question I'm asking. No, I agree with you. Rabbi Loza's got a very different view. Rabbi Loza says only if you've got 71. Yeah. Fine. You don't need the Tanakhama coming back and say, no, I disagree with you. Well, they've already said that. You don't have Beis Hillel say this, Beis Shammai say this, and then Beis Hillel come back to Beis Shammai and say, no, I disagree with you, and I'll restate.
All right. This is qualifying what he meant.
Right, okay. Or there's another view. Yeah, you're right. So the Gemara then will have to pick up. What is it that's being picked up? What is it that they're disagreeing with? Are they qualifying what they've said before? We'll have to see that in due course. Says the Mishnah, Ba'oid Zois. And furthermore, Hoyso Yerushalayim Yisera al Yavne. There was something else where Yerushalayim was greater than Yavne. Just 1 minute. What do you mean there's something more? We haven't seen the first thing yet. Do you understand? The Mishnah, again, it sounds very difficult to understand. There's something else where Yerushalayim was greater than Yavne. We haven't said the first thing yet. We mentioned Yavne, but we didn't say there was a difference between Yerushalayim and Yavne. You with me? We started off saying at the time they blew the shofar on Shabbos in Yerushalayim. We said by Beis Hamikdash, that's where the Sanhedrin HaGodol was. Then Hiskin Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, anywhere where there's 23. And then you've got Rabbi Loza saying, no, only in Yavne. Right? Then you've got Omrulo, no, Yavne or anywhere else. And then the Mishnah says, furthermore, there's a difference between Yerushalayim and Yavne, a second difference. We haven't seen a first difference between Yavne and Yerushalayim. The only time we mention Yavne in the Mishnah so far is there's an equivalence between Yavne and Yerushalayim. Just like in Yerushalayim, they blew the shofar on Shabbos. Similarly, in Yavne, we didn't see there was any difference, anything extra that Yerushalayim had. So why now does the Mishnah say, but furthermore, there's something where Yerushalayim was greater than Yavne? We haven't seen the first thing. Okay, the Gemara will pick that up. But this is the difference. There is this difference, which is Shekol Ir Shehi Roa V'Shomas Ukroiva V'Yochola Lovoi Tokin. Now, this again begs a question, because at the beginning we said you can only blow if you're in Yerushalayim itself or in the Beis Hamikdash itself. Now we seem to be extending that. Shekol ir shehi roa, any city which could see, hear, or was near v'yochola lovai tokin. U'b'yavna lahoya tokin ela b'bezdin bilvad. Look at Rashi, please. V'od zois ho Yerushalayim ba'oida b'vinyona. Whilst it was still in existence, there was another difference. Yisera b'tkias Shabbos al Yavne. Ba'oida b'vinyona. Now, how does that tie up with what we saw the first couple of lines. You only blow in the Beis Hamikdash area. It doesn't talk anything. If you can actually see the Beis Hamikdash. But look, next Rashi, Shekol Isher Roa Es Yerushalayim, or Shomas can actually hear the sound coming from Yerushalayim. V'yochola Nova, or could get there. Mefarish Bigmora, my Tana de Ka'oma Va'oid. The point we made before about this Va'oid, what is that Va'oid? What's the first thing? But we also need to know the difference between the first part, which says only in the Beis Hamikdash. It's true, according to the Rambam, means the old city, but didn't extend it further. And now the end, we've said, according to Rashi in particular, but Oda Bevinyona, whilst it was still in existence, Yosera B'Tkiyas Shabbos Al Yavne, there was something more. Okay. Now, if I can ask you, please, Peter, to go to Sefaria Mishnayos. Mishnah.
Sanhedrin.
Yeah, press Mishnah. Let's go to Rosh Hashanah. Let's go to Perek 4. Let's go to Mishnah 1. That's the one. So if you please click on that, and let's have a look at some commentaries. This time we're going to Tosfos Yom Tov. So just scroll down to Tosfos. So let's find who he is. No, that's the Ikka Tosfos Yom Tov. It's the abridged version. Don't like the abridged version. So let's go for the full roll down, scroll down a bit. Oh, has he not got it? Yeah, Tosfos Yom Tov, the classic 17th century commentary from Yom Tov Lippmann Heller, meant to serve as a supplement to commentary. I mean, it's meant to. I mean, it is a supplement to the commentary. If you press that, please. Keep scrolling down. Oh, it hasn't got the whole thing. Scroll up there. He hasn't got the whole thing that I wanted. He hasn't got the piece that I wanted here. I don't know why. That is meant to be Tosfos Yom Tov, explaining the difference between. Can't help you then. Okay. So we haven't got the piece that I wanted there. No. All right, we'll have to follow that up. We haven't. It's not quoting the full piece there. I'm not quite sure why. Because it's much longer than that. I can't. Oh, I know why. Can you scroll down in the Mishnah? As I mentioned, they're making a second Mishnah out of that. No, go up. No, the other way. Stop. They're making a second Mishnah out of it. Now praise Tosfos Yom Tov and see what we got now. Down, Tosfos Yom Tov. For Odzos, keep pressing. That's what I wanted. A long piece. We don't need all of this. I'm just going to scroll down. Hold on a minute. We don't need that. Keep going. Hello, Pirish. Hold on a second. Here we are. Here. That's the point. Lochein, the beginning of the line is bivinyona, a bit further up. Do you understand the question? The first part of the Mishnah mentioned you only blow, according to, we're going with Rashi, in the Beis Hamikdash area. And then the last part of the Mishnah tells us there's something extra that Yerushalayim had. It wasn't just there. It sounded like it was a further afield too. Now go to where it said, Lochein nirali. Up to there. Lochein nirali, thank you. De Rashi spherale. Rashi holds. De hodatani non le'el. Avalo bimdina. Lav kololo, it's not a general rule which applied always. Elo, but somach apirato de masnisin, it relies on details which are coming. Dohocho, dimdino atzmo yesh chiluk. There's a difference outside Yerushalayim, as we'll see. Why? Shebi Yerushalayim v'chol ir shehi roya. That the last part of this Mishnah, which said Jerusalem and anywhere that can see Yerushalayim, toikim blue kol zaman sheyoshvin bezdin bebeis hamikdash. When the Beis Hamikdash was sitting, then if you were in an area that could look and see the Beis Hamikdash from the distance, that was going to be good enough. V'hodelo pirish Rashi Yerushalayim michlal mikdash mishum de'olam yesh the b'mikdash afilu shaloi bizman in the Beis Hamikdash afilu shaloi bizman shebeis din yoshvin toikin she'ein shvus b'mikdash. In the Beis Hamikdash area itself, even if the Beis Din is not sitting, then they would blow. Back to faces, please. Let me just explain what that means. The Tosfos Zonta says the following: the first part of the Mishnah is talking about even if the Beis Din is not sitting, if you're in the Beis Hamikdash area itself, any time of the day, Rosh Hashanah, they would blow the shofar on Shabbos. The last part of the Mishnah is saying, there's another rule here. When the Beis Din was actually sitting, it shows they were sitting even on Rosh Hashanah as well. Could be questions coming up, presumably not financial matters, but other things that needed questions. So if the Beis Din is actually sitting in Yerushalayim, if you're in an area in the distance and you can look and you can see the Beis Hamikdash area, and you know the Beis Din is sitting then you could blow the shofar as well. Or if you shomas, or if you could get there, we'll have to understand what it means get there. If there was no like a river in between, or it was impossible to get there. If you could get there, then you could blow the shofar. So let's just summarize. According to the first part of the Mishnah, if you're in the actual Beis Hamikdash area itself, according to Rashi, according to Rambam, it means the old city as well. You could blow any time of, say, Rosh Hashanah falling on a Shabbos. If it's not when the Beis Din is sitting, it didn't matter. If you're actually in the Beis Hamikdash area. However, that day, later on or earlier, when the Beis Din is not, if the Beis Din is not sitting, if you were further away, you couldn't blow. But you could blow if the Beis Din was sitting and you could actually look and see the area of the Beis Hamikdash. Then you could blow. You with me? Whereas if the Beis Din are not sitting, then that extra leniency doesn't apply. But if you're actually in the Beis Hamikdash area itself, you could blow the shofar. Okay, that is the end of the Mishnah. Lots of questions left open, which we'll have to follow through. So the Gemara now will ask where do we know this principle? The principle about blowing the shofar anywhere else on Shabbos. That's really what we're saying. Okay.
The Mishnah uses the word shekol ir shiur. That implies another city.
Absolutely. If you're far enough,
so
you've got good eyesight.
Another city. So yes. Another city is going to be quite far from Yerushalayim. So how would they? I mean, it's not saying the suburbs of Yerushalayim. It's saying
no, further, further afield. Absolutely.
And you can see it, and physically you can see
it. No, not that every city can. If it's a city that could see,
but what city? Yeah. But you think it's possible? There's a city which is separate.
Could be, At those times, there might have been some larger settlements further away. They could see Yerushalayim. Still called a city. I mean, you're right, you called it a suburb, I suppose, but it's a city, place where they're living. or near, or they could get there. We'll have to see the definitions of this. But that's what we're saying in Kunta Tosfos Yom Tov, that we're talking here about if the Beis Din is actually sitting, then there's an extension. It's any area which can, as you say, can see that city, they can also blow. But that leniency, and that's what the Mishnah meant here, did not apply to Yavne. To Yavne, it was only if you went to Yavne in front of the Beis Din, then you could blow the shofar on Shabbos. And as we can see there, it's only when you've got the Beis Din HaGadol. Rabbi Loza extends it. Rabbi Loza says it wasn't just Yavne. Any Beis Din that sits with 23 people anywhere could blow the shofar on Shabbos. So it's obviously quite important how we paskin. With that, we will stop for today. If I can just show you, just to finish, Peter, please, back to this week's Sedra. So let's have a look at the Safari again. Beautiful Sedra. Let's go back to Safari. Let's go back to Tanakh. Let's go. Well, you can scroll down. I think it gives you the Sedras, doesn't it? Even without that, we know where it is. Does it give you Sedras? Maybe not. No. Okay, let's go back up. I thought it gave you Sedras there. Tanakh. Okay, let's go. We know where it is. Genesis 49. And Posuk 12, where he got all the brachas for the various shvatim, all the different shvatim. And then we got Posuk 12, a wonderful, hard to pronounce the word, let alone translate it. Chachlili. That's a good one. Chachlili. Einayim miyoin. This is of the area of Yehuda. And his eyes are darker than wine, his teeth are whiter than milk. So let's have a look at some commentary. Let's have a look at Rashi on that. Let's go to Rashi. Let's go to the Hebrew first. And we'll see. Let's press the Aleph. Let's go down. Chachlili. So Rashi said, Loshen Oidem, red. So what's it mean? His eyes are darker than wine. V'chein lemi hachlilis anayim shekein derech shoyse yayin eineim ma'adidim. So it's saying the type of pasture, and not just pasture, for growing vines. It was a tremendous area, Yehuda's. The chachlile einayim miyoyin, people there, their eyes were red because there was so much wine available. That was Yehuda. And the final one was the Leven Shinayim Mecholov. People had wonderful white teeth because they're drinking a lot of milk. Have a look at Rashi, please. Meirov Cholov, so much milk. In other words, a wonderful pasture. Yeah? You can press the A just to get to translation. Go back to the first one. Denotes redness as the Targum renders it. Redness of the eyes associated with wine, because that is what usually happens to those who drink much wine. Their eyes become red. But again, it's telling me wonderful fertile area. Umei cholov, and the whiteness of his teeth is from milk, because of abundance of milk. For there will be in his land good pasture for herds of flock. Okay. Now, there's another beautiful pshat on this. It's not really pshat, I suppose. Or Ven Shinai Mecholov. You could now turn to Safaria, please, Peter. I think you have to go to the top left-hand corner. No, top left-hand corner. We want to go to Gemara Ksubas. So go to Talmud.
Yeah. To what?
Let's go down to Ksubas. Stop. There we are. Ketubot. 111. B 111B, go, there we are. Let's see if we can find it. Let's go to the Aleph, Hebrew and English. That's a bit more. Yeah, thank you. No, next one. No, the next one next to it.
It's only got English.
No. Really? Oh, no. So it's okay. Oh, we're okay. Just scroll down. A long way down, I think. Let's have a look here. Oh, slowly. Oh, yeah, there we are. Talking about the land of Eretz Yisrael. Keep going. Further down. Here we are. Here we are. A bit more. One more. Hopefully. Oh, here we are. Yes. Talking about the pasture. But here it's certainly a wonderful drosha of that pasuk. Remember, Uleven Shinai Mecholov. Shematom Linoy Yofted Kenny Ben Shinai Mecholov. Al Tikre Leven Shinaim Elo Leven. No, scroll down one more. Oh, here it is. Messiah Leila Rabbi Yochanan. What did Rabbi Yochanan say? To Omar Rabbi Yochanan. A bit further down. There it is. Get down. To Omar Rabbi Yochanan. Tov hamalbin shinayim lachavera. It's better. You can see the translation here. Rabbi Yochanan. One who whitens his teeth to his friend by smiling at him. Al tikrei leven shinayim ela libun shinayim. It's better to show some white teeth, in other words, a smile, than mecholov, than giving them milk. Normally, of course, the nourishment of milk. Somebody comes as a visitor, yeah, or anybody else. Rather than give them a drink, perhaps you can do both. But it's the idea of a smile, cheering people up. That is more valuable. Tov hamalbin shinayim lachavere. More than actually giving them some milk to drink and the nourishment. Shenema uleven, beautiful drasha. Uleven shinayim meichalov. Libun. Better to show white teeth and a nice smile and cheering people up than actually, of course, nourishment is great. But if somebody can cheer someone up, who's someone who needs that cheering, that is a very valuable thing to do. And Uleven Shinai Mechalov. So I say Rabbi Yochanan learning that drosha from that pasuk, not the simple interpretation, certainly not, but nevertheless a wonderful drosha. Uleven Shinai Mechalov. I say that one of the many droshas that we've got in this week's Sedra. With that, I'll leave you. If we go back to faces. So thank you very much, Peter. Show some white teeth. If you've got white teeth.
That was in Daf Yomi a couple of months ago, Norman.
So, absolutely. Some of the stuff well done.
Yeah, I recall that. I was trying to, it was at the back of my mind, I was trying to remember where's it from, which I thought was half.
Well done indeed.
I knew there was something there.
Not that long ago. Well done. Yeah. So yes, always good to try and cheer people up. And with that, gentlemen, I wish you all well. As we've got the end of this week's Sedra, Chazak v'nis chazek. Let's strengthen ourselves and let's hope we should hear good news, one from the other, moving onwards and upwards. Can't say, Peter, we've got too many faces that we hadn't seen regularly, but thank you anyway for trying. Have we got anybody? Good to see you, Mark. You're well?
Thank God.